has a password. I tried it, it locks, so I come back an hour later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The whole damn phone opens. It's a Chinese guy from Wuhan to San Gabriel here in California, up near LA. So I'm trying to go through everything and look at all this stuff. It's still connected to his iCloud. It's still, we're still getting updates on this thing.
Welcome back, everybody, to Change Agents, an Ironclad original presented by Firecracker Farm. Today, we're going to be talking about what is going on at the southern border of the United States. My guest today is Cory Gautereaux, a Southern California-based Army veteran turned nonprofit founder using his background in military operations and healthcare to fight human trafficking along the southern border. Through the nonprofit The G.O.A.T initiative, he gathers critical border intelligence, works closely with law enforcement, and raises public awareness, including direct testimony before Congress. Well, dude, let's dive into this. Fascinating background. Crew chief to a respiratory therapist. And I mean, obviously I know what a crew chief / door gunner is. What is a respiratory therapist?
The easiest way to describe it is you're kind of like the paramedic of the hospital, right? So somebody's heart stops or they stop breathing, they call the RT. And usually people, so there's so many different parts of RT, like nursing, right? You could be in oncology or in the ICU. But if you're an ICU nurse, that's what you are. As a respiratory therapist, you have the entire hospital. So usually NICU is a specialty, but at the hospital, the last hospital I worked at, you have ER, all the floors, the ICUs. So you do all the ventilator stuff. It's pretty cool.
How'd you get into that line of work from flying around in Blackhawks?
I got out of the Army, went to North Dakota in February to work in the oil fields, and nobody told me that was a really stupid idea.
I was going to say, did you make that choice voluntarily, or was there a gun pointed at your head to make you go to North Dakota? No offense to North Dakotans, but
21 bucks an hour. I mean, I could. Okay. This is the most money I'd ever heard of.
Yeah.
So I did that for a little bit, and then came back home to San Diego. Was out of money, had no idea what I wanted to do. Had the GI Bill, right? So respiratory school started on Monday, so I started on Monday.
Wow. How long is that course, or school, I should say?
Oh, it's a 2-year degree.
Okay. And then how long did you work in that capacity before lateraling over to what you do now?
About 5 years.
Huh. So did you enjoy it?
Yes, just like everything else, I enjoyed it other than the bureaucracy.
Yeah, I have some friends up here who work in the hospital system, and surprisingly enough, they talk far less about medicine and far more about bureaucracy. It seems to be an ecosystem problem for sure in healthcare. And honestly, I mean, we dealt with it in the military as well. It's not like it's new anywhere else. I think organizations get to a certain size and it's just unavoidable.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So during COVID, my business partner and I, he's actually a nurse, we said, you know what, let's just start a gun store. Screw this.
In California. Okay.
Yeah. FU
How'd
California.
that go?
FU California is the name.
What is it?
FU California.
Oh my goodness. And you started this in San Diego?
Firearms Unlimited California in El Cajon.
Okay. Yeah. So I live in Montana now, but I moved here from Chula Vista or East Lake, essentially. I lived there for a decade.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. San Diego is one of my favorite areas, but I'm going to say this. I'm very glad that I left as well.
Yes. I think about it all the time, but I got 2 kids, wife, her parents here, my parents are here, but
yeah.
I actually went to both. I went to MSU out of.
Did you really?
From here. Yeah.
Okay. My 20-year-old son, or he's getting ready to turn 20. He is going to start his sophomore year there next month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome place.
Yeah, he seems to be enjoying it. Keggers, football games, the classic college fare, if you will.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go very far past the first year.
Fair enough. All right, man. Talk me into how you got into what you are doing now. And it's great to talk to somebody who is actually working directly on the southern border, because it is so hard to separate the truth from the BS in the modern world that we live in.
So what's very funny about that is yesterday I got a message from a friend from high school. I haven't talked to him probably since high school, and he said, "Hey, do you do ride-alongs?" I'm like, "Sure, I guess. I mean, you could always just drive out to the border, right?" And he said, "Yeah, some of the friends, other friends from high school, just think that you are a paid actor." And I'm like, all the stuff that I've posted about like passports and stuff. So I'm so good at CGI and making fake passports that this is what I do in my spare time. This stuff drives me insane. They think that everybody went through the port of entry and nobody came through illegally. But anyway,
Do you know what pipeline of information they are arriving at that opinion from? I mean, what for the people who are believing that the paid actor one is interesting. Where where are they consuming their information that led them to that opinion?
I think it's the rectal pipeline that goes from the rectum to the brain.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Not great at passing information. But I mean, yeah, I would agree with you. Do you know if they're fully relying on mainstream media? Do these type of people are they internet rabbit holing? Is this Reddit? I mean, that's I struggle to understand how people arrive at those opinions.
So these are the same people that will refuse to actually drive out there and look, right? So I have no idea whether they're just sitting at home still at their parents' house in their basement trying to just seeing things on Reddit. But a lot of people that those people are few and far between. A lot of people are willing to talk about it, especially I mean, you know, talking in person is much different than internet warriors.
Yes.
Uh, so I could talk to most everybody about that, but they have to be willing to actually talk in person. I've invited so many people on the internet to my gun store to come chat with me, and this you're not gonna believe this. No one has ever shown up.
I have actually made the same offer. So I host a podcast outside of this, and occasionally the comment sections will get a little bit heated. And or the last time I did it was on Twitter, and going back and forth, and super aggressive tone from an individual. And I was like, listen, I'm not trying to be argumentative. Like, actually come out in person. Let's put a camera on, microphone, and sit down and discuss two opposing points of view. I've made that offer multiple times. I'm like, I'll fly out first class, put you up wherever you want to go. The only thing is, we're going to have this conversation. You can't hide behind anonymity. It's going to go on the internet, regardless of how it goes. And not a single person has taken me up on it.
Yeah. So they don't want to learn anything. I suppose that's
Yeah.
all that it means.
So, what are you doing on the border now? Break down for me how it is you're spending your time, the organization that you have.
So, uh, how this originally started was I live. I don't know if when you were here they had that. Did you guys have La Posta, the training facility?
Yep.
Okay, so
So it is bigger now than when I was out there, but we were training out there even in the late 90s.
So I live kind of around that area, right?
Mhm.
And about 2.5 years ago, so we had just moved here. We had moved here from El Cajon to get away from the city, and I love it here. It's the high desert. It snows. It's hot. We have all the seasons in San Diego, but I could still drive to the beach in less than an hour. So we just moved here, and there was one day where my wife said, "Hey, come look at this," and she's showing me her computer. On the neighborhood Facebook page, it said there's a large group of Chinese people walking down the freeway. So Highway 8, east and west. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that makes okay. So hop in the truck, drive down the road. Yeah, there's a large group of Chinese people, only Chinese people walking down the freeway. And since you know the area, it's predominantly white out here,
Yeah.
white and meth. Um,
Classic
so,
pairing.
so I'm like, this makes no sense. Border Patrol rolls up. They're looking at me. I'm looking at them. I'm like, I don't know, man. This looks kind of like your job. I have no idea what's going on. So that kind of piqued my interest. And since I grew up here, I'm very familiar with the back roads. And we started, I grabbed a couple friends and we started going out where I used to drink beer in high school, all these old border roads. Like, okay, there's like 200 people standing right there. There's no border patrol. What the hell's going on? So then I start noticing that they're starting fires, and most people are understand the severity of fires in Southern California and the wind. It gets very windy up here. So you can't just have random fires, fire pits. If it were me having a fire, Cal Fire would come, the prevention side would come, and I would get ticketed or more. So I have a video. There's probably 10 or 15 fires going on at one time. And this can't happen. So I started talking to Border Patrol, and through the gun store, I know a lot of these guys. They're like, yeah, we can't do anything. We can't put them out. We can't. So what do you mean can't put them out? Well, they're warming fires, and warming fires are not illegal. Okay. So they were so backed up at the station that these people would wait out there 3, 4, 5 days waiting to get picked up, not trying to run away because they were working the system. So then I go down to the Border Patrol station. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go buy a bunch of shovels, fire extinguishers, and I need you guys to take them because I don't want my fucking house to burn down. And they said, oh, we can't do that because that's a safety issue. We can't leave shovels and fire extinguishers out there. And then it started clicking. Like, this is going to be a massive nightmare because we can't do this. We can't do this. We can't do this. So we're just going to let everybody through. And then I started seeing them dropped off by my gun store in El Cajon. So they get picked up out here, put on buses right in front of me, processed. We could go into a lot about that. Not going through bags, not patting them down, putting them on a bus, processing them. The top of my ridge line overlooks the station out here, so I could see how they were processing them. They would take backpacks. They would make them doff their backpacks onto a rack. They'd go inside, process them, come back, grab the backpack, then get on the bus, drop them off throughout the city or airport. No one touched that backpack the whole time.
And once they were dropped off, were they just in the wind to do whatever they wanted to do?
Yep. So some of them would, they were, imagine if you went into another country and then or even Mexico, you went into Mexico and you got dropped off in some random Mexican city you've never heard of. And you're like, and they go, okay, man, you're good. All right, well, now what do I do? A lot of these people were just very confused. I'm sure there was a lot of good people that came, but those aren't the ones that we've been tracking. So some of them knew exactly where to go, exactly what they were doing. And others were by the trolley station down in El Cajon, just standing around like, where do I go now? Like they were sold a bill of goods that wasn't exactly true.
How did you go from watching this? Well, and if you could, can you describe the organization that you have now, what you've created?
Yep. So we kept going out and documenting this stuff, and it just didn't feel right, and nobody was. It seemed like no one was paying attention. So I'm not going to just watch this happen and do nothing. But at the same time, I couldn't physically do anything because I've got a family, right? And I also can't stop 21 million people. That's like the man versus gorilla thing, right? So I started the G.O.A.T initiative, and we started out on human and child trafficking and child labor, child exploitation in general. And from there, it's I feel like we go down a new route every week. We find something new every week that takes us somewhere.
What do you do with the information? Are you officially liaisoning with Border Patrol, law enforcement in any way? Are you just handing them information and hope that they do something with it? Is there an established relationship? How does this work?
That is our biggest problem. So at first, I handed information to different agencies, and in hopes that I thought everybody was gung ho to be for the country, right? And so I would hand stuff off, and I'm like, great, we're going to do something, and either I would never hear back, or some of these people were our friends, and they would call me months later or text me and say, hey man, that went into storage room somewhere and we're not even looking at it. Okay. That's not very helpful. So
Yeah.
we've run into this problem. So we ended up taking a lot of people out to the border. So we took Tulsi, we took Joe Kent, um, Sheriff Lamb. We've taken probably dozens of people out to see what was going on. When Tulsi came out, it was a horrible scene, but a great thing for her to see. She was out here for 2 days, and we walked her through nearly everything from Incopa, so the far eastern end of the county, almost all the way to downtown. So seeing how people came in, and then the flow of fentanyl and what it's doing to downtown San Diego. So we have these lines of communication with people, especially people higher up in Washington, but they have their own job. They're trying to get rid of the people that are the bureaucrats that have been there forever that are doing nothing. So we're still in a position where the information that we have isn't going to the appropriate channels. And when I say that, at this point, I truly believe there is no appropriate channel. I think a task force needs to be created, and because of the information we have is so abundant that if I have something regarding child exploitation today, and I call a child exploitation guy, let's say FBI, right? Well, that child exploitation thing, whatever it may be, also goes to 100 other different illicit activities and different nationalities, different countries. We have a lot of CCP stuff, so it can't just be one group, or I'll be inundated every day with trying to talk to 1,000 different people.
When Tulsi and Joe came out there, are you driving them around in areas just kind of like by your house? Are you officially escorted by Border Patrol, or are you guys just rocking around out there in your personal vehicles?
So my friend Gio set this up. Gio was a recon Marine. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, took his life, but he was the one that got all this set up. And he was a very large presence here in San Diego. He'd go to the city council meetings, and he was very outspoken. So I got a hold of him pretty early on, and we teamed up and started trying to figure out what we could do. It has been extremely detrimental to lose him, because I'm just some dude who owns a gun store, right? I have no idea what the hell I'm doing here. I'm picking up trash on the ground, and it may happen to be some terrorist passport, but Gio was instrumental in putting everything together and getting it to the right people. So when he got Tulsi out and he got Joe out, I had to have a heart to heart with Gio, and I'm sure you know exactly how this goes. If we know a general or a congressman or somebody's coming to the hangar for that month or week or whatever, that's all we're doing is cleaning. That's
Cleanest hangar they've ever seen. No problem, sir. Everything is spectacular.
So I said, look, you guys are all in the military. You know what it's going to be like if we call and tell them you're coming. And some people, it was a little bit of a fight, and some people were like, yeah, I get it, let's go. So I'm not going to tell you who's who, but we finally talked them into going out with nobody, quite, incognito, and they saw everything. So no detail, no heads up. Border Patrol is not very happy about that, but I'm hoping the Border Patrol can see that I'm trying to show higher ups in all across the country the true picture, and not the Gavin Newsom picture. When Gavin Newsom came out here, he took two Blackhawks from San Francisco or Sacramento and landed in Boulevard. But they knew he was coming the whole time. They had a cleanup crew go out to the border, pick up all the trash, and even the Mexicans. There's a Mexican military camp over there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was clean. I mean, you could camp right there. It was so clean. But the week before, there's ID cards and trash and everything everywhere.
Which is wild, because then he takes that. I often wonder too. I mean, I have to assume in the military that if you get to the level of being a general and all the hangars you go to are the cleanest you've ever seen, you also, though, were an O1 at some point, right? Or hopefully an E something before you switched over. So you know the game, and you know that it is rigged a little bit. What sucks about Newsom doing that is that that's the information that he reports to Californians and the world. But I also wonder if he knows it's bullshit.
He does know it's bullshit. I guess that goes back to my first point, which is he's putting that out. He's the governor. How could he be lying to the people, right? So maybe people are watching people like him, or citizens are watching people like him. He's saying it's fine. Nobody's coming through here. As I'm over here, a week before and a week after, showing people walking right next to me, the same exact area that he was in.
Ladies and gentlemen, hot salt from Firecracker Farm is the real deal. It's not just heat, it's flavor that elevates everything that you cook. The best thing to happen to food since fire. That's a bold statement, but I'm going to go ahead and agree with that. It's delightful. One of the best things about this brand is there's a real person behind it. His name is Alex, and he makes these in small batches, so it's not always easy to get. You don't want to miss out. All of the flavors are great. I have tried all of them. You really can't go wrong. Seriously, try it on everything. Steaks, vegetables, everything in between. I love cooking. I like cooking at home. I don't like putting sauces and overbearing things on the things that I cook, so I tried a little bit of the salt. And if I'm being honest, I tried a little bit too much the first time. It was a little spicy. So I had to back it off a little bit, and it made everything that I cook at home taste better. So it's an easy addition to the things that I already make. It tasted amazing. I was using the product for well over 6 months before Alex reached out to present as the sponsor for Change Agents. Easy peasy. I was already doing it. No additional time. A touch point with it in my personal life. I can talk about it from personal experience. Love what the brand stands for. Love what the brand was founded around. Enjoy the person who founded the brand. I mean, this is a match made in heaven. Get out of the comfort zone of what you can get in the grocery store. Go online to Firecracker Farm and use the code Ironclad for 15% off of your first order. You're going to be shocked at how much more of a flavor it brings out in what you cook. So obviously Joe and Tulsi had a different experience. How would you describe their response? What do you think? Do you think it rocked them a little bit to see the reality of it?
Yeah, 100%. Joe came out. He was very, very stoked, very, very Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
him and G.O. were kind of just surveying the whole area and trying to put it together. But when you see it on TV, and it doesn't make sense until you get here and you actually see what's going on. So I could just see the wheels turning. Didn't say much, but you could. I don't know what he was thinking about or what his plan was. This was when he was running for Congress when he came out,
mm-hmm.
And then when Tulsi came out, we have some video of her in my truck, and we pulled up to a group of probably at least 100 people right on somebody's property. Border Patrol had them cordoned off, just waiting to be picked up. And she's sitting there with her eyes wide open and her mouth open, like, this is insane. It's absolutely insane. She saw so much in 2 days that it probably took her. She's still probably trying to figure out what happened.
How long have you been at the G.O.A.T initiative?
About 2.5 years now.
Have you noticed a shift previous administration to current administration when it comes to activity at the border?
100%. Previously it was just free for all, wide open, and I've wondered many times, well, where did all these Border Patrol agents come from now? Where were they? Did they do a big hiring? What was it? Well, they were all in the processing facilities and driving the buses and the vans. That's how many were. We would go days and not see anybody. Now, when I was out there in high school, you'd be out there for 5 minutes and somebody would roll up to you and be like, hey, what are you guys doing out here?
Yeah.
No time at all. Now, so when Trump got in and he put the Remain in Mexico policy back into place, which means you can claim asylum, but you don't get to stay here. You have to stay in Mexico while you wait for your asylum claim to go through. And nobody wants to do that. So people from all these different African countries, people very far away, they're not going to chance it and then have to stay in TJ and wait around. So when Trump got in and put that policy back in place, there was a little lag because the people from very far away, they're not going to turn around, right?
Yeah, they're already midway through their journey.
Yeah, they might as well try because they're going to get a free flight back home. So what's the point? So there was, I don't know, a couple, let's just say a month but I could slowly see it trickling down. And we have cameras, game cameras all over the border now. So I would go from that, we'd have to change the batteries once a week to, I don't think we've changed the batteries in probably 3 months.
Really?
Mhm.
For the people who are coming across, what is it that you are seeing now?
The people now, so the people before were just nonchalantly walking through, and I mean they would have bags like Louis Vuitton bags, especially the Chinese Louis Vuitton bags, and they're dressed. They got the little man purse thing, like they're going to the mall. They had no idea they were in for this one spot that I'm talking about. They had no idea they were in for a 8 mile hike through. When I say treacherous wilderness, people don't really think of that when they think of San Diego, but
Yeah.
it is very cold and very windy at this spot over near Ojai Mountain. Now the people that are coming through, so I have we have the cameras in a string basically. So if you don't hit the first one, you're probably gonna hit the second one. Really, probably gonna hit. So now they're evading the cameras, and I'll catch them on one. So they evaded, a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Before they're just walking down the road. Now they're going through the bushes, through the brush, and then when I catch them on the camera now, they're wearing usually camo. Sometimes they're wearing those carpet shoes, what they call them, so they can't see their tracks. But sort of they're seems like it's reverting back to the old illegal immigration where they're not trying to get caught.
What going backwards in time? What is your assessment? How, you hear all the time that the cartels are controlling everything to include drug flow and human beings coming across the border. Is that the type of information that you were seeing pre-change in policy on the border?
I think that they control both sides of the border, along the border, probably within a couple miles on each, both north and south of the border. And I still believe that today. I don't think anything there has changed. So we found TGI has found all these different gaps that we have. So imagine if Border Patrol came to your house in Montana, and then all of a sudden you look over at the back 40 and there's 300 people there, and they're just like, "Hey man, we're just going to load them up over the next few days and get them out of here." Okay. So they load them up, they get them out of there, and then you go down to work in Kalispell, Bozeman, whatever, and then you show up and you see the same people being offloaded on a bus into the city, and then over and over and over for three or 4 years, right? So you are going to have no faith in the Border Patrol or the federal government at all. So that emboldened the cartels, and they kind of filled in a gap. They've kind of been controlling it anyway, but we need to take back the citizens along the border in the U.S., much like the Green Berets do, or you guys did. You go into a village somewhere and you got to make friends with them, right?
Yeah, by with and through.
So that's what we've been doing now. We figured out that I don't have to go out there nearly as much if I just bring the dude down at the border a bag of dog food every couple weeks, because he'll call me and tell me, so I need less cameras, less equipment, because he'll call me and say, "Hey, there's a group coming through right now." So the Border Patrol's lost that because no one trusts them.
The agents themselves, do they, in your experience, are they recognizing the futility of what they're doing? Do they feel handcuffed, I guess, for a poor metaphor, but Border Patrol guy driving the car is not deciding what they do with hundreds of people that they pick up, right? So they're executing the policy that they have. Do you get a sense that they understand the futility of what they're doing as well, and the ridiculousness of just moving people basically inland to an urban center from those areas out east in San Diego?
Yes, I would be willing to bet that the Border Patrol has the highest suicide rates out of anything in the United States right now.
Really?
Yes. I wish we could see that number published. I mean, I don't wish, you know what I mean. But the government has put a lot of these guys in a really bad position because they have family, mortgages. They're living in San Diego. Nobody can afford to live here. And are they going to speak out? Are they going to quit? What are they going to do? But I've made this analogy a lot. And a lot of these Border Patrol guys are my friends. I have nothing, as much as I would like to sit here. I told a high up DHS guy that came in a couple weeks ago and bought a gun from me. As much as I would like to sit here and talk shit about all you guys, that's not going to do us any good. Yes, they pissed me off a lot by doing what they did, but let's figure out how that never fucking happens again. That's what we need to be doing. And then, is the person that drove the train to Auschwitz just as complicit as the people killing the people at Auschwitz?
It's a tough question, especially if they know what's going on at Auschwitz.
Yeah. And nothing necessarily that bad relative, right?
Yeah.
We haven't seen a September 11th scale attack yet since all of these people came through. But we're going to be so numb to the news of, oh, we caught another rapist. Okay, well, who else did you catch? No, we caught a rapist.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But they shouldn't be here in the first place.
Yeah, like you said, that 21 million people in 4 years floating across the border, even a fraction of a percentage of that many people is a lot of people. And if you so let's say 99.9% of those people who came across, they're doing their best to try to provide a better family for their life. Well, if 0.01% of those people have ill intent, or they are trying to get into this country to either recruit or plan or execute or whatever it may be, that's still a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a massive burden on our healthcare system. It's a massive burden on everything. And these sanctuary cities are, I don't know if you heard this. I broke this story, and that's a weird thing for me to say because I'm not a reporter, just some dude that saw something weird going on, right?
You are now.
Unfortunately. This has been hidden very well by NSW, by the Navy, by the county, the city. I can't remember when this was. Maybe about a year ago. A guy broke into a SEAL's house off. So you're probably familiar, but a lot of people don't understand that most base housing is on the base, right? Well, San Diego doesn't have enough room, so they move stuff off base.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place in San Diego. There's a whole little communities, like little satellite communities of military housing, nowhere near bases.
Yeah, it makes sense, but doesn't make sense when you try to explain it to civilians.
Yeah.
Like, that's base housing in Linda Vista. Well, there's no base over there.
They're driving to the base. There's not enough room on the base for the people.
and the MPs, or whatever they're called in the Navy, they still drive around and do patrols there. So a SEAL's kid was molested by an illegal alien on base housing off base.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's name, the perpetrator's name is Jose Confessor. He went to jail, but because of California's sanctuary laws, they cannot talk about his immigration status. So no one still knows that he is an illegal immigrant, and he's still here in county jail, and nobody ever brought that up.
They are not allowed to mention immigration status at all.
Period.
Wow.
It will taint the trial.
I mean, would it?
No, the guy's a rapist, period. I don't care who he is. He just happens to be an illegal alien. So deport him. I think they should just let him go down at NSW and they figure it out.
Yeah, that would not be a good day for him. Man.
But that's been massively covered up. And perhaps it could be the family, which that's reasonable, right? But if we're going to report the news, then report the news.
Yeah. How sophisticated are the things that you have found? I'm fascinated by the kind of stuff you found left behind. People, when they were talking about designating cartels as terrorist organizations, people are like, oh my God, we're going to send special operations, but the cartels are, they're better than our current U.S. special operations. I stayed out of that conversation because I don't think people really understand the level of violence that can be brought upon those organizations. And you see videos. It's funny too when they do like convoy videos. The first vehicle is pretty teched out, but you get to the tail end of it and stuff is just kind of like welded on, and guys got a magazine in backwards, and like, okay, I see what you got, the A team up front here, and then we're kind of working our way down the alphabet. What level of tech and sophistication? And I know stuff is left behind, like you mentioned, passports. What other kind of stuff are you guys finding?
So besides, passports, birth certificates, IDs, computers, cell phones. Actually, these guys.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Little tire smasher.
Yep. So we haven't found anything too sophisticated, mainly because the guys that they put along the border, the cartel guys are low-level guys, like very, very, very low-level guys.
Yeah.
So the guys that are stealing our game cameras and stuff, we have, they go right in front of the camera and steal it. So I have a picture of them. So they're not the most sophisticated in the world. We have heard drones coming from the south. I've never seen them. A lot of times the difficult part is there's so much coordination between Mexican military and the cartel and the CCP that we don't know who's who anymore.
What do you make of the CCP angle? When did you start seeing the influx there and the influence?
We were out by G.O.A.T, and that's a spot where the border wall ends. It doesn't pick up again until the bottom of the desert. So it goes through this very, very jagged, rugged mountains. And then we were talking to a Mexican military camp there, and we were a couple of our sources are Mexican military guys. We figured out that they only get 2 meals a day at these little camps that they have along some spots of the border. Well, that's easy. Okay, I'll just bring you pizza. Then everybody talks for pizza.
Yeah.
So they started talking to us, and then they started picking up IDs for me and giving them to us when we go stop by down there. So one of the commanders, I mean, when I say commander, this guy was probably 18 or 19, but the other guys it just doesn't look right sometimes, right? So he was telling us about a Chinese guys on the top of the G.O.A.T mountains, and he kept saying in some kind of uniform or in a uniform. I said, well, who are these guys? So they're Chinos. So they're Chinese guys in uniform directing their people where to go through up there. So, it seems a little far-fetched. Like, why would you be in a uniform? But then we started thinking about it, and we just started paying more attention, right? So then we started seeing these Chinese ID cards, and they all look the same. So a lot of them look like they're forged by the same person or entity. Then we found a phone. We found an iPhone just laying right on the ground. These people were so brazen at the time. There's no border patrol. They just walk right around the fence, and then they would just throw their stuff right there on the U.S. side. So I have a table over here full of cell phones and everything else. So I get this cell phone, and I'm not an Intel guy, right? So I'm not really a computer guy. I'm not really anything. So I go home as a genius, and I plug it in and charge it, right? Because that's what you want to do at your house with a Chinese cell phone.
Definitely put your password into your personal. Yeah, put your personal Wi-Fi password in too while you're at it.
Well, I had to put my banking information in there, right? It's hard to take $0 though.
Yeah.
So after all of my friends yelled at me for doing that, I'm like, well, how am I going to charge the damn thing? I'm sitting here with my buddy, and I'm like, I wonder if what's password's going to, it has a password. I tried it, it locks. So I come back an hour later. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The whole damn phone opens. It's a Chinese guy from Wuhan to San Gabriel here in California, up near LA. So I'm trying to go through everything and look at all this stuff. It's still connected to his iCloud. It's still we were still getting updates on this thing. So you know what? This looks it's a male by himself, so a single male. He's taking pictures. He likes thick Latinas in airports because there's a lot of thick Latina butts in there, which I didn't know that about Chinese guys.
Everybody has their thing,
So
you know.
as we're going through, I'm like, this just he's. I'm sure you guys did as well, right? So we're in the helicopter. We have checkpoints. Every hit checkpoint we hit, we call on the radio, let them know we hit the checkpoint.
Yep.
This guy's taking pictures in front of checkpoints on his whole trip and sending them back somewhere. It's not like tourist pictures. It's just a single dude with a scowl on his face, larger than. So I was in Korea for 14 months, right? I was a giant there.
Yep.
So this is not a racist comment. Chinese people are a little bit smaller than me, usually. This guy was probably close to 6 feet, had a muscular build, military haircut. Like this, there's too many things that are adding up here. And then each picture that he takes is a checkpoint in a different country. So we keep going through this phone and figuring out what we can get out of this. Through this phone and some other phones, we're now into probably 200 plus Telegram chats. So CCP, some of them are CCP operated Telegram chats on how to get into the United States. And then that opens up just another massive can of worms because I think, or we think, in one of these accounts, there's 29,000 photos. Photos of critical infrastructure, dams, SpaceX, the gates around Andrews Air Force Base, police stations, fire stations. In my non-professional opinion, it looks like this is a collection point for some people are in the chat probably because they found it and they used it to get through. Some people are just posting pictures in there of critical infrastructure. It gets down to so far that well, the reason I found one of these chats was I saw 32-116. Well, that's San Diego. That's a grid course for San Diego. I don't know how I remembered that. It just stood out. It shows the exact coordinates of where the gaps in the wall are. And then we started going to those exact coordinates and finding more and more Chinese stuff. But within these chats, there's everything from there's a video of a guy going in a hotel room and murdering a whole family. There are information on illegal marijuana grows in California, pictures and videos of it. I mean, with 200 something chats now, and now they're talking about what. Okay, now we're in the U.S. and now Trump's after us, right? So where do we go? Where do we hide? If the intelligence community had this information, they would be able to make. I mean, almost nearly all of the stuff we have is actionable intel. So we figured out where this guy was in San Gabriel. He took a picture of the address. I happened to be up there for a police canine convention, and oh my God, I got a gun. We'll go check out his house. So I went there. As I'm walking up, it's a little like condo complex. As I'm walking up, there's a sign on the wall, and it says no loitering, and then underneath it's in Mandarin. Well, that's weird. We don't have anything like that out here in Pine Valley. So I walking down to it's the last house. There's Amazon boxes everywhere. There's a garage door that has windows at the top, and it had curtains closing the windows. There's probably 10 or 15 pairs of shoes by the front door. There's a lot of people in there. So as I'm getting closer, There's a couple cameras, then there's a motion sensor at the door. Well, maybe see if I can give the guy's phone back. So I knocked on the door. And it just sounded like mice scurrying. And there was a ring camera. So I'm like, hey, does anybody know who this dude is? I've got his phone. I want to give it back to him. Nobody came to the door. So then, do you use Onyx, the app?
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
So I pulled up Onyx, and that whole complex is owned by Yellow Tiger Inc. It's fitting.
Yeah.
So then you look at San Gabriel. I mean, ICE could just set up in San Gabriel, and they could probably get whatever their quota is per day, because we started finding phone numbers and addresses by the hundreds, probably by the thousands at this point, all in San Gabriel. The Chinese are mainly going to San Gabriel, California, or Flushing, New York. Those are the two spots they're going to. And
have you tried to pass this info over to law enforcement or the intelligence community?
Nearly every possible way. What happens is it will. So after this airs, I'll get calls, but it'll be from low-level guys. Nothing against them, right? Just low-level guys that want to help and want to do something, but they don't actually have the power to do something. They don't have I can't just parse out this information to different agencies because I still have a job, business, a family. I need a group or task force to come together, and then the tangible, like this piece of information is just remote, but this piece of information, if I give it to you, you could get everything off here, right? But you don't know where we found it, how we found it, who was in the group when we found this. We've taken pretty meticulous notes, and at this point, I got so frustrated. I called a buddy he's a software developer, so we developed a program to track all this stuff. So everything's in the program now. I know who came from where. Let's say I have a Chinese pass or a Turkish passport, right? So in the program, it'll be under Turkey, but then the guy may have been born in Afghanistan. So those data points are in there, and then it'll show where he came through the border, who he came through the border with, what group, what day. We know the smuggling routes now. We have sources all along the border. If I just hand this to you, you don't get the whole story. So I'm not going to do it.
I wonder. I'm just trying to think of a bridge between the information that you have, and I'm also wondering if the government is equipped. You mentioned ICE, an organization that is taking heavies right now in the news, just north of where you live, right up in L.A. Some pretty massive riots. How do you balance those two things? What you're seeing at the border, what you've seen from the enforcement agencies, whether the individual agents themselves wanted to do what they were doing or they're just following the policy, and then what appeared to be there was a mix of protesting and rioting up in L.A. How do you balance those two things in your head? What do you think about what's going on up there, or what has gone on up there?
I really enjoy the people that are flying flags of other countries, right? Like you think of the American flag, in court, everybody's under that one flag. Gays, Mexicans, we're all in America, right? Everybody falls under that flag, so that's always funny to me. It's very frustrating because we're going after low-hanging fruit at this point. Not even it seems. People in the community within DHS, even higher up people in DHS, are not happy that we're going after the abuela that's been here for 30 years illegally. She's got 17 kids and she works as a nanny on the side. And I have trouble with that as well because I'm from here. I have friends whose parents were illegal. They came here. They are contributors to our society. Sorry, I'm getting off topic, but one of the massive things that we've noticed is when people came here that are my parents' age, they came here to be American. They came here for the American dream. They wanted to bring their kids to America. I have an Army friend, same age as me. Mexican, you would think that people talk to him all the time in Spanish, and he's like, I don't know what you're saying. His parents didn't, they're both completely fluent Spanish speakers. They talk to each other in Spanish. They didn't want him to learn Spanish because they wanted him to be an American. It may be a little extreme, right? But that's how bad these people wanted to come here, and they wanted their kids to be just like you and me. The people that we've seen over the last, when I say the people, I mean the majority of the ones that we've seen, they came here. We watched somebody, I almost lost my mind. These Turkish guys came across and they were pissed that the food that was given to them was not up to their standard. So if you want to come here and assimilate and contribute to society, that's great. That's what we want. We want legal immigration, and we want to better our society from people, bringing people in legally and bringing their cultures with them, the good parts, and leaving the bad parts. That's why they came here, right? To get away from the bad parts and bring the good parts. The people now are taking advantage and working the system, especially here in California, all the different handouts that they can get. So that part is extremely frustrating because I'm sure you can imagine as a big white dude with a beard, I'm the most racist person in the world, right?
That's what people are going to think for sure.
That's what some of them do think, but I enjoy the fact that we live in a country where people can immigrate here and bring the good things with them. But if you come here illegally and just want to take from me and my family, that's a problem. So when I see these riots, protests, whatever you want to call them, those people don't want to be here. They don't want to assimilate. They don't want to work. They've been having protests outside my gun store. Not for me. It just happens to be right. Again, if I'm going to have a protest, I probably wouldn't do it outside of a fucking gun store, but whatever. So every time they do this, it's the middle of the week. They don't have any fucking jobs. So we're in there working. The whole building that we're in is working, paying for these people to protest. That is just extremely frustrating. So another part that is very frustrating is I've tried to remain very non-biased. I mean, I own a gun store. People probably can assume that I'm pretty conservative, right? But I tried to, when I first started this, started documenting this stuff, I said, I'm not going to go one way or another. I'm just going to tell a story. Nobody needs my narration. Here's the pictures. Here's the video. Maybe here's a little bit, but you make up in your mind what you think is going on. I mean, here's a thermal video of a couple hundred people coming in and then just walking down the road. Now, you might think that's good. You might think that's bad. All I did was take the video. So when people are talking about, especially the left, I've gotten more political now because it's the only way to discuss this stuff. When the left is out there protesting in front of the gun store while we're all working, where the fuck were they when all of these people, 21 million or whatever the number is today, came through illegally, but now your grandma's getting deported because we don't have time to fucking differentiate. We don't know the difference between your grandma and terrorists from Azerbaijan. We don't have time. So because your team allowed that to happen, we got to deport everybody. What else are we going to do?
Yeah, I think people's biggest issue is, well, in a perfect world, what they would say is we'll start with the criminals first. I don't think a lot of people would have an issue with deporting people with criminal history, involved in crime, whatever it may be. But again, those people also aren't doing what they're doing, often in plain sight. It's a fantasy land where you think you could just only go and find the criminals doing criminal stuff at all times. That's just not the case.
Yeah. We had a powder coating company get raided right down the street from the gun store. And people were all up in arms. They're just workers. They're there for a job. Well, turns out the powder coating company has government contracts, and they're powder coating stuff that you used to work on that people shouldn't really know about.
Yeah.
but they have illegal aliens in their powder coating stuff.
Yeah, it's
There's
a
always
problem.
more
And
to
there's
it.
supposed to be systems in place to exist, especially for government contracts like that or sensitive government contracts where that's not supposed to be the case for operational security reasons.
Yeah. So there's always more to the story than, well, most of the time there's more to the story than they just arrested some grandma. Maybe the grandma happened to be the homeowner of the Trinidad guys, right?
Yeah.
Still grandma, but she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but she created that for herself.
What kind of support, whether it be public, private, political, all three, none of those, do you think would actually move the needle for the type of work you're doing on the ground, or would actually make a difference?
Well, we watched for the 4 years bad NGOs make hundreds of millions, in some cases billions of dollars by facilitating this. Jewish Family Services, Catholic Charities, Southwest Keys, those are some big ones. And there's been some reporting on them, but not enough. Not enough digging. Investigative reporters they don't really exist anymore. The news cycle is too fast, so by the time they're done with an investigation, it's over.
Yeah.
So what we need, so I'll talk about us and the country. What we need is support because we are beyond tired of paying for this on our own. Something that none of us wanted to get into, and I dragged some friends in, and now they're screwed. So,
friends only half the word.
Yeah. So we've spent well over six figures now doing this, just from protection and optic, binoculars and stuff like. Now I get them at cost, so that's helpful. But we use our personal vehicles, and we bring stuff like I talked about. We bring stuff to the locals to try and keep the rapport good with them. So, and the software program, the website, the intel gathering, and then, I mean, one of the biggest things is we never have enough hard drive space on anything, and our computers are not fast enough to do anything. But we need to take over at least the north side of the border again, and I don't think that the Border Patrol can do that. From what the locals, including myself, saw happen, it's going to take probably decades to win the locals back, and that's a big problem.
Yeah.
One of the things that I bring up a lot is when we go into a new country, when we go invade a new country, because we don't have problems here, right? One of the first things we do is we go talk to the locals. They know more than my cameras. They know more than the Border Patrol. They know more than the ISR in the sky. We don't do that here. And I'm talking pretty straightforward here because I've talked to all of these different organizations. Nearly every organization that you could think of, including ones that don't work in the United States. And I've asked them, why are we not doing this? We don't have anybody to do that. What do you mean? Take some cash like you do in every other country and drive down the wall and talk to the locals. Get the guy a new tractor if he needs a new tractor. Give him a cell phone. Bureaucracy will be the death of freedom in this country. There are too many layers to get through to get to Washington. One thing that I've been watching happen over and over is the intel that's happening here in San Diego never makes it to Washington. I haven't figured out where it's getting caught, but I'm able to call people that I took out here or text or send an email and say, look, they just said there were no gotaways. Here's all the gotaways I have on my cameras. So I don't know if maybe we were exaggerating, or are you getting the right information?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like they are. And then a high-level DHS guy that came in the store a couple weeks ago said that there's a very big problem with DOD and DHS. You can imagine, right? You go somewhere to go work with another unit in another country, and maybe you can't talk on the radios together. Well, that's a
Yeah.
big problem. I'm not saying a radio, I'm just using that as an example. I didn't get into details with them on what the problem is, but I'm sure there's probably a pissing match going on between the two. DOD's like, we're here now, this is ours. And DHS, like, we've been here for a long time, except the last 4 years. So they're not necessarily getting along the best way. And one of the things that just pisses me off the most, one of the most active areas that we still see people coming through, it's 7 miles from the backside of Otay Mountain to the the west side of the port of entry of Tecate. 7 miles, no border, no fence, no nothing. You can walk right through. Put the fucking Marines there. It's harsh territory. They love that stuff. Go put the Marines there. Where we're putting the Marines now is where there's already wall, and they are reinforcing it with concertina wire. But there's still massive areas where there's no wall.
Yeah, people unfamiliar with San Diego would be shocked. I mean, I used to do a bunch of skydiving up by the Otay Reservoir, and the flight path to climb to altitude was north of the wall, but you could clearly see the areas that you're talking about where it just ends.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things I'm frustrated about. That's one of them. And if we didn't start the wall day one, it's not going to be completed. I have no faith in that wall being completed.
Yeah.
At this point. The bureaucracy in Washington and here, it just takes way too long to get anything done. Hence why this happened with the bad NGOs so quickly, because they didn't have any bureaucracy. They just got it done. So, in my opinion, what they need to do, obviously I want them to hire my team, right? But in my opinion, they need to go find good NGOs. We're not the only people doing this. I think we probably have more stuff than anyone else along the border, but hire the good NGOs that have been doing this for a fraction of the cost of what you would pay your actual guys to do it. Give us a couple liaisons from a couple different organizations. We could put reports out every week, every month, depending upon, we could even do a pilot program. I have stuff right now that I wish I could give someone. I don't know if you saw, I emailed you an intel report on an Iranian, he's a Turkish guy that went through Iran, Uzbek, Tajik, Singapore. This guy's got more passport stamps than probably your family and my family combined. Lots of entries with no exits, lots of exits with no entries, and then just happens to go to Singapore for a trip. Maybe go find that dude.
Yeah. Man. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, Cory. What do you want to close it out with? How can people find and support your work?
They can go to our website at thegoatinitiative.org. And I just never made sense to me until I had my own organization. Anything helps. $5 helps me put, that's basically a gallon of gas here in California now. So
half gallon.
Yeah. Anything can help us keep going and will allow me to live without my wife killing me for keep doing this.
All right. So the goatinitiative.org is probably the best place for people to start.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave people with?
I go back and forth a lot on are we doing anything? Are we making a dent? And there's no way that we can stop. We're too far. We're too deep into this now. So we're just going to keep going, and we're hoping that with time, someone will come along, or an agency will come along and say, okay, we're ready to go now. Let's look at everything that you guys have, and let's work together and figure out how we can go after the bad guys. So we're just going to keep going. We're not going to stop.
I just hope that occurs before a major incident, not in the aftermath of a major incident.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, right on, man. Cory, I appreciate your time. I'll let you get back to your day.
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Yep. Have a great day. I hope everybody enjoyed today's episode. To learn more about Cory's work or to submit any tips, please visit thegoatinitiative.org. That is thegoatinitiative.org. The link is down in the show notes. Thank you again for listening to Change Agents, an Ironclad original presented by Firecracker Farm. We will be back next week with an all-new episode.